So I just got back from attending the Beauty and the Beast opening night fan event that was held at Tinseltown in Rochester, New York. I'm not sure if they were hosting these across multiple Tinseltown theaters, but I attended. Tickets cost me $20 and they were supposed to come with some goodies. So I'm going to review that experience and review the movie itself. So the fan event, we were supposed to get this awesome bucket that came filled with popcorn and a cup. And we were supposed to get a rose, which we never got. I don't know what was up with that, but it was really convenient to get the popcorn bucket and glass, so I'm not going to complain about that. I also picked up this nifty IMAX poster, but this is normal for IMAX releases. They normally release a poster, so this isn't limited to that fan event. So for the fan experience, before the movie opened, we got to see the music video with Ariana Grande and John Legend singing Beauty and the Beast, and then it opened to a little how we made this movie interlude with Bill Condon talking to the lyricist and just some quick behind the scenes clips, and that lasted about 5 minutes. Then we get into the movie. So now I'm gonna start reviewing the actual movie. So first of all, I need to give you my thoughts on the original animated film, Beauty and the Beast, which came out in 1991. And my thoughts are that it was an okay movie. It was not my favorite movie as a child. I liked it enough. The songs were catchy. It was never one that I constantly saw myself replaying. I can't tell you the last time that I saw it. I have no idea when was the last time I saw it. So, and I didn't rewatch it before seeing this movie. I wanted to go into this movie blind. I wanted to go into it with no expectations and not comparing it too much to the original, even though it is a remake. I just didn't want to keep thinking about, oh, that wasn't in the animated series. I wanted to be able to view it as its own organic film. So, the original 1991 film was okay, but for the time that it came out, it was very iconic. It was the first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture. This was at a time when the category for Best Animated Film didn't exist. It was nominated for Best Picture, and it won for Best Original Song. That was unheard of for an animated film. They weren't being accoladed at the Oscars then. So in order for an animated film to get that kind of recognition, it had to have been really important. Obviously, this is a movie that is near and dear to many people, and I know a lot of people did not want a remake to be made. I didn't really care any which way. Disney has been remaking their classic animated properties for a while. I'm neutral on most of them. I really liked Jungle Book. I didn't really care about Cinderella. Ever After came out in the 90s, and that was a much better retelling of Cinderella than the Disney remake of Cinderella. And I hated Maleficent, so. Also, this review may or may not contain spoilers. If you are familiar with the Beauty and the Beast movie or not, this might contain spoilers. So, I'm putting this out as a warning now, in case you guys don't want to be spoiled for the movie. They do change a couple little things, nothing that you wouldn't already know if you were familiar with the story. So if you've seen the animated film, you've essentially seen this movie. There's nothing that you're missing out on in terms of spoilers and new content, besides the addition of a couple original songs. If I had to pick a favorite of the Disney remakes, Beauty and the Beast would be my favorite. If you know me, you know that I love 18th century France. I love the aesthetics of 18th century France. My favorite movie is Marie Antoinette by Sofia Coppola, and this movie almost blows that out of the water. It is just all of the golds and all of the gold detailing on all of the extravagance. You feel it. And I saw this in IMAX 3D, so it was right at me. I saw all of that beauty right in my face, and I was just, oh my god, in the theater. I wanted to cry. It was just so beautiful. All the costumes, with one exception, and we'll get to that later. All of the costumes and the wigs and the costumes were by Jacqueline Durran. She did the costumes for Atonement and Pride and Prejudice, so she has a history with doing period pieces, and it shows in her work. She did an absolutely phenomenal job with all of these costumes. They are absolutely beautiful, except for the main dress. There has been a lot of talk about this dress online over how drab it looks, and I gotta agree. Compared to all the other costumes in this movie, it looks crappy. It looks like she got it off the rack of a JCPenney's, which, I mean, no offense to JCPenney's. I love shopping at the Pennies. But not if I'm a Disney princess about to have a dance with a beast. It's not extravagant. Nothing. The dress doesn't have the wow factor. And this is an unpopular opinion, but I don't like the animated version of the dress either. it bothers me that it is not historically accurate to the time period. Not even a little bit. It doesn't have any of the elements that a dress that a noblewoman in 18th century France would wear. It just looks like a prom dress. So I never liked the dress in the original film. And I don't like this one either. I understand why people who like the original dress don't like this one. There's none of, like, it doesn't look similar at all, besides it being gold. I didn't like the dress in Cinderella either. Disney kind of has a bad track record for the dresses, bringing the dresses from the animated series and transferring it over into real life. The movie is directed by Bill Condon, who has previously done both Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2, Mr. Holmes, and Dreamgirls. I'm neutral in all those movies. I've seen Breaking Dawn Part 2 many, many times when it's on TV because it's a funny movie. I'm not particularly a fan of Twilight, but it's a hilarious adaptation, but I don't really know. I'm not familiar with Bill Condon or his style. Visually, I mean, I think he did an adequate job directing this movie. There was no point in the movie where I was like, oh, that was directed bad. Not when it comes to directing. When it comes to acting, maybe there's a couple things that I would have changed, but not when it comes to directing. So the cast. Beast is played by Dan Stevens, who I think is a Downton Abbey alumni. He was also in the latest Night at the Museum as Lancelot. And he is currently starring in FX's Legion, based on the X-Men comics. As far as him as an actor goes, he was fine. Most of the time he was a CGI beast, which we will also get to later. He was okay. You don't even hear his voice for most of the movie. His voice is pitch shifted deeper to be the Beast and give him a more menacing tone to his voice, which he definitely needed. His normal speaking voice is a normal speaking voice. It's not very menacing, and it doesn't suit that of the visage of a beast. It's just a normal man's voice. I have no opinion anyway about Dan Stevens. He's okay looking. He's not particularly ugly or attractive. It's meh. The elephant in the room is Emma Watson. Belle herself, Hermione Granger. What do I have to say about Hermione Granger? She is a black hole of charisma. I don't particularly dislike Emma Watson. A lot of people do because of things that she has said in the media and things that she's done while interviewing and how she conducts her feminism. And I'm not gonna really get into that in this review. I'm gonna put that aside and just talk about her acting, which is... it's there. She says her lines, and that's about it. Her singing is forced. She definitely has auto-tune on her voice. Her voice has an inflection upon it when she sings, and she hits a certain note, and you can hear an artificial flatness to the tone of her voice. You can hear this artificial flatness to her voice that is definitely a computer putting that there. She doesn't really emote when she sings, especially for her song. She doesn't really emote. She doesn't contort her face and express herself when she sings. It's all very stiff. During the climax of the movie, when she's calling out for the Beast and screaming at him, she thinks he's gonna die, and her face just looks like, like, emote! Do something with your face besides concerned eyebrows! It was very, very frustrating that she just wasn't acting. Like, everything else around her is happening. Things are happening around her, but herself and her acting, it just doesn't come across. She's a black hole. She's there. She could have been replaced with anyone, particularly other people in this movie. Gugu, who plays the feather duster Plumette, has been in another movie called Belle, which also takes place in 18th century France, and it would have been amazing to see her play Belle because, one, she's gorgeous, and I'm sure she can sing, and it just would have been so much better to see her on screen. And also it would have given Disney more diversity points, which they're really pushing for these days with the LaFaux stuff, which I'll touch upon that later too. Other actors in the movie, Ewan McGregor. He wasn't bad. In the trailer that first came out, people thought that his French accent sounded like a Spanish accent, and he later admitted that he had to go back and redub all of his lines. And his French accent still isn't very good. They could have gotten a French actor or someone who at least knows some kind of French to do it. You could at least understand him. Ian McKellen as Cogsworth was wonderful. Stanley Tucci plays the piano. He was wonderful. Audra McDonald plays the wardrobe, and she has some scenes where she sings, and she is a Broadway alumni. She is known for her singing voice, and she was also very beautiful. Luke Evans plays Gaston and Josh Gad plays LeFou. Luke Evans is one of the shining jewels of this movie. His songs, his scenes, he steals them and takes the attention of the camera, and you are captivated every time he is on scene. I'm not really familiar with Luke Evans' acting. I saw him in the Hobbit films. I saw half of Dracula Untold, and that is about as familiar with him as I was before seeing this movie, but he is phenomenal. His singing voice as Gaston is great. Gaston is a little bit more evil in this movie, and it's good to see Luke Evans really, he seems to have fun with the role. He was a delight to see. Luke Evans was definitely one of the best parts of the movie. Josh Gad too. He was very fun to watch as LeFou. A lot of people are wondering, is LeFou gay in the movie? And yeah, it's hinted at it. I don't know if I would have caught all the little hints if it wasn't already publicized. He was okay. I'm not particularly a fan of Frozen. I don't really know. I'm not familiar with Josh Gad's work. He was okay. Best actor in the movie, though, to me, is Luke Evans as Gaston. He was definitely one of the best parts of the film. Emma Thompson plays Mrs. Potts, and they were nice. They were okay. Almost all of the songs from the original animated movie are in this film. All the hits are in here. The townsfolk singing Belle, Be Our Guest, Gaston, the mob song, Beauty and the Beast, all of those songs are in here, and they added a couple new ones. They added a song for Beast called Evermore. They added a song for pretty much the whole castle to sing called Days in the Sun, and I know those were definitely included to see if they could round up and wheel in that Best Original Song Oscar like the original movie did. Evermore is a very passionately sung song. Dan Stevens does a great job singing it. It's emotional. It's a sad song, and it's not something that you would probably belt in your car like the fun songs from Moana, but it's a decent song. It's a very good song. Be Our Guest was a very in-your-face musical scene. It was very bright and colorful, and I couldn't think of any better way to adapt it for a live action. Even though calling it live action is a stretch, it is mostly CGI, but I couldn't think of any other way to adapt it. It was very bright and colorful and exactly what I would expect that scene to look like if it was more realistic. The Gaston song was also a very fun scene, especially because it was one of the first songs that is really sung with lots of contorted facial expressions and emotion and humor. One tiny complaint, though, is that at no point does Luke Evans talk about how every last inch of him is covered in hair. Was really hoping for that. I really wanted to see that. Why you gotta deprive me of these things, Disney? The mob song also was a very great scene, just because, again, the emotion and conviction with which it is sung, it's a nice break from the anytime Emma Watson sings anything ever in this movie. The CGI in this movie, I'm of two minds of it. Because a lot of this movie feels real. It feels very real. Cinderella didn't feel real. It felt very artificial, and a lot of that had to do with the ridiculous post-editing color saturation that they did on the film, where they turned everything up to 11 with the colors. This movie feels more real. You can tell that they did a lot of sets. A lot of the things are physically there. It's not like Jungle Book, where obviously nothing was there and the whole film was filmed essentially on a blue screen. No, they actually built parts of the castle. They actually built the village. And that's very refreshing. We do not see that a lot in movies these days. They just put a green screen up and say, this is what you have to do, pretend everything's behind you. And you get a better performance from actors when they're actually interacting with things in front of them, I believe. The CGI on the Beast is... It depends on the scene. Sometimes there were moments where he looked very impressive, and I believed that he was there, and I could believe the chemistry between him and Emma Watson. There were other times where he looked like a video game character from the PlayStation 2, and he was so obviously fake. I'm not sure how they did the Beast effect. I'm not sure if it was mocapped. I'm not sure if Dan Stevens was actually on set with Emma Watson and did his lines, but was wearing like a mask or the dots so they know where to CGI the Beast's face. I kind of wish they would have tried to do something with makeup. I'm sure that they could have. I know there was a Beauty and the Beast TV show starring Ron Perlman back a while ago, several decades ago, that... Really? You're gonna turn on right now? Really? We're doing that? But I feel like they could have done something with makeup. I would have liked to see them try something with makeup. In some aspects, this movie reminds me of Moulin Rouge, with just how beautiful and how much there is to look at. And also, Ewan McGregor's in it. So it is kind of like Moulin Rouge. All in all, I would say this was it was an okay movie. It really depends on what you are looking for. I would see it again because I am here to be immersed in the visuals of 18th century France. That is what I am here for, and that is what this movie has given me, and I am satisfied. That is all I asked for. Other people who want a really good story or really good acting or is hoping for something really deep and really provocative, just watch the 1991 animated film. Save yourself some money. There's nothing this movie does that the animated film doesn't already do, even with the additional scenes, even with the additional songs. There's nothing overly new here. They tweak Belle's character a little bit, but it's nothing that warranted a whole remake, and a lot of reviews are saying that this was unnecessary, and I agree with them. This was unnecessary, but I'm not mad. It's free. It's like a free cookie. I'm not going to complain about a free cookie. I'm not going to complain about another film where I get to oogle Baroque and Rococo architecture and fashions. I got what I paid for. I'm happy I paid the extra $20 to get the bucket and the cup. Tell me what you thought about the movie. Tell me about what remakes you hope Disney does do and doesn't do. I would like to hear your opinions. And let me know. Let me know what other movies you'd like me to review in the future. Let me know if there's anything you would like me to change about this review. Comment, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching.